Hello and welcome to the August edition of Picking Up the Crap, my series that looks at the hardware and software sales numbers for the North American video game market. I'm your host, the one and only Jodecideion. Here are your hardware sales numbers for the month of August 2013. The following numbers are not accurate and are sheer estimates due to the NPD not releasing the official numbers to the public. These numbers were attained due to official NPD sales numbers holders who decided to give us hints. So shout out to the people at Neogaf for gathering this information. The best-selling piece of hardware for the month of August was the Nintendo 3DS, selling above 130,000 systems. Number 2, and the best-selling home console for the month of August was the Xbox 360, selling 96,000 systems. This is an official number released by Microsoft themselves. The following numbers are estimates, but are close to the actual number. PS3, the number 3rd best-selling console, selling 71,000 systems. Number 4, the Wii, selling 32,000 systems. Number 5, the Wii U, selling 30,000 systems. And number 6, the PlayStation Vita, selling 29,000 systems, thanks to the price cut. Here are the top 10 best-selling video game software for the month of August 2013. The top 10 video game sale numbers consist of estimates and official numbers released by the NPD. I will indicate one or the other when presenting you the top 10. Number 1, Madden NFL 25 on 2 platforms, selling above 1 million copies but below 1.15 million. Number 2, newly released Saints Row 4 for 3 platforms, selling below 450,000 copies. Number 3, newly released Disney Infinity across 5 platforms, selling official numbers 294,000 copies. Number 4, Splinter Cell Blacklist across 4 platforms, selling below 294,000 copies. Number 5, Xbox exclusive Minecraft. Number 6, Nintendo 3DS exclusive Mario Luigi Dream Team, selling 173,000 copies at retail, according to Nintendo. Number 7, NCAA Football 14 across 2 platforms. Number 8, Payday 2 across 2 platforms. Number 9, Final Fantasy Online, 2 platforms. And number 10, Wii U exclusive Pikmin 3, selling just below 110,000 copies in its first month of release. It's now time for the Going Public segment of this month's episode of Picking Up the Crap. In this segment, I either take a look at various business stories throughout the month, or I take a closer look at the overall numbers from this month's NPD. So first, let me start with the hardware sale numbers for this month's NPD. As you saw, this is the first time that every console sold below 100,000 systems in a month. Without a doubt, the next generation in full is upon us. People are preparing for the Xbox One and the PS4, and so people are not buying any more current gen consoles. At this point, the only reason to buy a current gen console is maybe replace one that has malfunctioned or died, or maybe you're just now going to adopt a new platform to play. Add another console to your overall collection. I believe these numbers are pretty low, and they are probably affected by the overall still high price for these 9th, 8th year old consoles at this point. If they hit the money mark, which is usually $99, around that range, I think they will still sell a pretty penny. So I expect maybe some kind of holiday price cut coming from both Sony and Microsoft to help them earn some extra cash while they begin to fully go into the next generation with their new consoles on the market. Next, let's look at software. I know on YouTube there are people whose whole agenda is to get attention, get subs, make that YouTube money. And so when they report the news, it's not about the facts. It's about their agenda. It's about spreading their propaganda. With this series, I'm about the facts. Yes, I give you my opinion on things, but the facts always come first. And so let me say this overall. No matter what console you own, no matter what side you bet on, no matter what your preference is, last month, in the month of August, nobody who called himself a gamer went out and bought software. Games bombed across the board on all platforms. So no matter how you twist it, no matter how you want to sum it up, no matter how you want to point fingers at other people, no one bought games. And I want to do this first by looking at Splinter Cell Blacklist, which came out last month. And in this debut month, according to the NPD, sold somewhere around the 294,000 range in overall software across all three platforms. And the major headline that everybody is pointed at when it comes to this game is that, according to NPD, it only sold 5,000 copies on the Wii U. Now, first, let me address this. Yes, that's accurate. It only sold 5,000 copies on the Wii U. But when looking at the user base at the time of release of the game, the Wii U sale numbers are still in line with the overall user base sales of the 360 and the PS3. The 360 version of the game estimated sold 210,000 copies. That's 0.5% of its overall user base. The PS3 version of Blacklist sold, according to PMPD, around 85,000 copies. That's actually 0.3 to its overall user base. And the Wii U selling only 5,000 copies is actually 0.4 to its overall user base at the time of the release of the game. The next fact I'm going to bring to you is the last time a Splinter Cell game was on a Nintendo console was 2006, at the end of the GameCube's life and the first year of the Nintendo Wii. That game was Splinter Cell Double Agent. So, it has been 7 years since a Splinter Cell game was on a Nintendo console. So how in the world are we to expect there to be this huge Splinter Cell user base on a Nintendo platform if Nintendo users, the people who buy Nintendo consoles only, haven't had a new Splinter Cell game in 7 years? I mean, honestly, if anybody who owns a Nintendo platform want this game, odds are in the past 7 years they bought either a 360 or a PS3 to play the Splinter Cell franchise. So to expect Splinter Cell on the Wii U the first time in 7 years to have huge numbers or numbers that exceed or comparable to the PS3 and Xbox 360 user base is pretty ridiculous. Now let's compare the fact that the Splinter Cell franchise has been a mainstay when it comes to the Xbox and PlayStation consoles, with the last game, Convictions, being released on the 360, selling in its release month 485,000 copies at retail. Now, with the new game, Blacklist, that franchise user base in the first month was cut in half, from 485 to 210. In my opinion, it is more newsworthy that a user base who's been buying the franchise decided this time not to, compared to a user base who has never given an opportunity to, just decided that they weren't going to start. Before I end this segment and this episode of Picking the Crap, I want to say this. My main problem with current generation of gamers is this outcry of saying they want more power, better games, more content. But then when it comes to buying the product, buying the content, buying the game, buying the hardware, they never do it. They speak with their mouths, but never with their pockets. And this month was a great example of that. Across the board, across platforms, major games, major releases all underperform, especially if you consider the current user base of these current consoles that's on the market. There are too many consoles out there in the United States and in the world for any major and quality game to not to sell to at least to 1.2.3% of the user base of those consoles. Besides Splinter Cell, across all platforms bombing, there were a couple of exclusives that released last month. One being the highly controversial Dragon's Crown, exclusively to the PlayStation 3. This is an old school arcade type beat 'em up game, 4-player online multiplayer game created by VanillaWare, with great art, great detail, a quality product. And unfortunately, this game died at retail. While I'm not sure what Sony or VanillaWare was hoping for when releasing this game, but according to the NPD inside sources, this game sold on the Vita and the PS3 a combined 86,000 copies at retail. Then there is Saints Row 4 for the PS3 and 360, combining to sell under 500,000 copies in the release month. That's just ridiculous when you look at a user base of at least 67 million systems on the market. I'm also under the opinion that Disney was hoping for a bigger splash when it came to their new product, Disney Infinity, a game that's similar to the Activision's big blockbuster Skylanders, which was a huge success when it first released 2 years ago. But with the second release, Skylanders Giant has seen decline. So maybe they just came into this new genre of games a little late, and now the fad is over. And while 495,000 copies is not a bad number for a new IP, it was still selling across 5 platforms. With that combined user base, you would think it would have sold way more. A fun note though, overall, 41% of the sales of the new Disney Infinity came from Nintendo platforms. So, Disney, your kid user base, your adult fun-loving user base is on Nintendo consoles. Last but definitely not least, the Wii U exclusive Pikmin 3 selling below 115,000, around 100,000, somewhere in there. Actually more if you count the digital sales, but in this series I only talk about retail sales. Still, 100,000 copies of a game that's been delayed several times, that hasn't been a new game in this series since the GameCube era. And also on the so-called Nintendo Wii U that is suffering a game drought, where supposedly there are no games on this console to be played and to purchase. You would think this game would have had a better opening in its first month. So, Wii U owners, what are you buying? But I don't want to put a finger at just them. I want to point a finger at everybody. Gamers, what are you buying? Either you're all broke, either you're all cheapskates and wait for sales, wait for used copies, or you're all saving your money to buy these new consoles coming out and these new major games coming out, like Grand Theft Auto 5 tonight. And while I can understand all those reasons why, the point is, in the here and now, you're hurting the current industry. At this point, if I'm a developer, why, of course, create a new IP? 2, release a game during this time period, anywhere from March to September. Why release a game in that time period? Because it basically feels like gamers are not going to spend their money on games during that time period at all. If anything, games should only be released on the market starting in October all the way to February. Those are your months to sell games. And then the rest of the month, allow the gamer to either fill up their back library or allow them to play all these games they purchased during that time. Because at this point, if you send out a game during the summer months, during the early fall months, your game is going to bomb because gamers are not going to buy it. I really hope that has to do with current gen fatigue. Gamers are looking forward to new consoles. They want the next generation to start in full, to get these new experiences, these new great games. But I'll be honest with you though, out of all the games I've seen that's going to launch these new consoles, there's maybe 1 or 2 that I feel like are games that couldn't be on the current consoles I currently have. Everything else is what it's been for the past 6 years. So I don't see all of a sudden gamers buying a lot more games. I think the industry is in a decline, and definitely when it comes to purchasing of hardware and software, and we're really going to see it when these new consoles launch at the end of the year. So, for picking up the crap, it's your boy, the one and only Jodecideion, and I'll see you next month. Take care.